Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back to my latest videos. I've been kind of checking out a lot of these Hammer films. I did the 20 disc set or 20 film set earlier this year. Then I did a whole bunch of the Hammer Dracula stuff this summer, and now I'm almost done going through all of the Hammer Frankenstein films. But before I begin, if you're new here, just to let you know, I like to make these little videos about things that I enjoy and want to share, usually about film, though occasionally there are some other things. And when it comes to film, usually it's been a lot of horror and 80s, especially like some of the 80s throwbacks of films that I feel like maybe they just kind of haven't been talked about in a while. And if you like what you see, please consider subscribing and hitting that little bell icon to get notifications for when I put up new content, which is once or twice a week, and hopping in during that first hour, as well as, sharing this video and channel around really do help out the algorithm quite a bit. Now that all that's out of the way, I just finished watching The Horror of Frankenstein from 1970, starring Ralph Bates, who that same year was in The Satanic Rites of Dracula, as Frankenstein in this one. So we get no Peter Cushing, which is kind of a disappointment. And we get David Prowse, who some may know from this film, I can't remember what it's called, something in 1977, a guy named George Lucas from Modesto, California, whoever he is. Anyways, so he's in it playing the creature for this one. But what is this all about? Well, this is best described as a remake. Some ways it's a little bit of a parody. It's kind of strange, but it's literally starting the Frankenstein story over again, beginning with a very pompous young Frankenstein at school with aspirations of moving away and going to university to study science more, or something like that. You'll see why I'm so about it. It is ultimately a very similar story to what we've already seen, and honestly, I haven't really cared to look into it just yet as far as why Hammer decided to do this. It seems like they just wanted to give another try to the whole Frankenstein idea from the start. But it's been kind of crazy because there are some differences in this one, particularly with the performance of Bates, But while Cushing seemed to kind of slowly build up his pompousness over the course of the films, in a way which, for a while as a viewer, I was, on board with that. But in this interpretation, we're kind of launched into, into that, and it ultimately made Frankenstein much less likable. And, I just wasn't really on his side most of the film. Throughout this one, though, he is more questionable, the entire time. His morals are lacking. So by the end, I really didn't care for him or any of the stakes that were going on in the tale. Whereas with the last Frankenstein film that I watched, the Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed, he kind of, over the course of those films and over the course of that film, he worked his way into being more pompous, into being more questionable in his morals. So this one kind of launched us into that, and I really didn't get into it that much. It's because while Frankenstein was going down that dark path in the other films, this one, I don't know, I was more interested to see what they were going to do with him after that downturn in the last film. So this kind of remake of theirs and a rebooting of the franchise didn't really make much sense to me. But, luckily, this is the next to final film in their franchise. And I say luckily because I am now, at, it must be 35, almost 40 of these Hammer films. And, that's a lot of films of this type from this era, from this company over the course of this year, wanting to revisit some other horror. So I figure after this last Frankenstein film next week, I'm going to take a break from some of the retro stuff, going back that far, and go more for that 1975 to 95 time frame, even if it means revisiting some ones that I just haven't seen since I was a kid, renting a lot of these movies. But, not just that, but it may not be quite as frequent. There's a lot of new films that come out on other platforms that I just haven't gotten around to. My queue on Shudder is just stacking up. But yeah, to kind of wrap up specifically about this Frankenstein film, it was kind of so-so. I didn't really connect with Frankenstein much or care much about what was going on. It felt a little bit like a pointless entry. I'm assuming that they meant to kind of restart this franchise, and it didn't quite work out for them, and that's why they have one more film with Cushing after this. So that one I'm a bit more eager to see. I'm looking forward to seeing how they wrap that up. And out of, these 35 to 40 films, there are a lot of them that are fun and worth checking out, and some that I will definitely be rewatching. I just need to get into some newer stuff, because also I figure when I make these videos, in a lot of cases, if you are interested in checking out some of these Hammer films, they're not as easy to come by. You either need to buy a box set of them, download them from somewhere, see if somebody put them up on YouTube. Whereas some of the newer stuff, I can say exactly what streaming service you have that available on. But anyways, yeah, this second to last Frankenstein film, you know, didn't really do it for me. And I'm hoping that the next one is better, because honestly, the last video I did was about Nightmare on Elm Street Part 6, another one that I remembered liking, but unfortunately it was another one that I just ultimately didn't enjoy that well. But there is another Nightmare on Elm Street one coming out next week, so that's for Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and no spoilers, but I did like that one a bit more. Anyways, not going to go into that much, but yeah, we're almost there. We're almost through this series, so be sure to subscribe, hit that little bell icon so you get notifications when I put up those other videos. And yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next one.